It's Sunday once again, and happy Easter to all of you. Hope you're having a very happy and a blessed Sunday. And maybe in the UK or even in the Philippines or wherever, maybe you're eating loads and loads of chocolate eggs. I hope not, because it's not really good for you. But, anyways, it's now 2 o'clock in the UK. It's 9 in the evening, 9 p.m. in Manila. So, welcome to another episode of Ask the Drummer. This week, I mean, I'm really excited about today's drummer guest, and based on the feedback and reaction that I got on Facebook, it's not just me who's really excited about it, but quite a lot of people are excited to see our guest today. So, right. So, I'm so sorry. It's just in my head sometimes. Like when you're excited, you forget about things. But, anyways, my dear friends, please welcome John Rowland. Oops. There you go.
Hi,
Hello, John.
hi, man.
How are you?
Great, thank you. You?
I'm fine. Thank you. Happy Easter.
Thank you, and you?
Yeah. And how many chocolate eggs have you already?
Uh, Precisely none. I'm not a big chocolate fan. I got my wife one. She's got a nice egg. Maybe I'll have a bit of that later.
Well, we, when I was when I was young, growing up in the Philippines, we didn't have chocolate eggs. I don't know
Right?
why it's like here in the UK, if it's just a new thing. But have you always had chocolate eggs when you're kids during
Yeah,
weekdays?
yeah, yeah. What do you have in the Philippines? Do you have special food at Easter or?
No, well, we do celebrate, but it wasn't a thing in the Philippines. Chocolate eggs, but I think now we do have chocolate eggs. I remember having going for Easter egg hunt, but it's more so like the boiled eggs, and then they're not
What
they're
are
not
you looking for?
chocolate.
Just leave them hidden.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah. So I just wanted to say hello. We've got Neil. Neil Barker is my colleague at King B Records. So he said hi, John.
Right, right.
Uh, yeah, because we were talking earlier before we came on. Before we went live, that you're actually in Chorlton, and
Yeah,
you've been living in Chorlton for a few years now.
yeah. 30 odd years I've been in Chorlton now. Yeah, long time.
Yeah, and you have been you have been at King B Records on a Saturday. I never
I've been
saw.
at King B. No, you weren't there. It was
Well,
very
Aiden.
disappointing.
Well, hopefully one Saturday I'll see you there. Aiden O'Rourke, who's my tech support, and my husband, he said that sound and picture excellent. So that's always a good thing.
All right.
Um, right. So welcome to Ask the Drummer. Episode 76 is all about you, John Rowland. So we're gonna start from the very beginning, if that's okay. Um, where were you born? Were you born in Glossop?
No, I was born in Manchester, but I was born in Wythenshawe, which is, I think it's about the I think I read the biggest council estate in Europe, and then so we kind of overspill and sent out to a council estate in Glossop on the outskirts of Glossop. So I lived there from about 5 to until I was about 17, and then came back to Manchester.
All right.
So I went to
So
school and everything in Glossop, and
yeah. So from Manchester to Glossop and then back to Manchester again.
yeah,
But what was? I mean, I've always asked people about what was it like in Manchester when you were growing up. But what was it like? Because you were in Glossop from between 5 and 17 years of age. So what was Glossop like at the time?
um, it's a nice place for the kids to grow up. At that time, you're right on the edge of the countryside, and I used to spend all my time out messing about in the hills with my mates and stuff, and you're half an hour from Manchester on the train, but it felt like, you know, a lot further away than that. Going
Yeah.
to Manchester was like a big adventure. If like, if you wanted a record you'd heard on the radio, the local record shop wouldn't have it. You'd have to get on the train, save your money, get on the train to Manchester. It was a big deal. So
Yeah.
you felt a bit isolated there. It's a bit of a backwater. Well, that's not fair, but it's a small town.
Yeah, well, I have been to Glossop, and I know that when you take the train from Manchester to Glossop, it's the end of the line,
Yeah,
and you do feel it.
yeah, there is. Yeah, got that vibe about it.
Yeah. But one thing I remember, I mean, because you moved back to Manchester, I don't know if you've seen that news a few years ago saying that they're gonna have like a Hello Kitty cafe in Glossop.
Really?
But yeah, I'm
What,
sure. I remember seeing that article because I love Hello Kitty.
what's a
And
Hello Kitty cafe anyway? What's that?
maybe it was all like just a shop in the restaurant with loads of like Hello Kitty merchandise, or
Oh
maybe
right, I thought you meant like a cat petting cat.
no, not a cat
That's
cafe.
rare.
But
I love cats.
oh,
Like
well,
cream
they do have. They had that in Manchester. I think it's closed down now. There's one in Liverpool, I think. But no, this is like a Hello Kitty, like the character, Sanrio character.
Maybe
No.
there's a lot of call for that in Glossop. I don't know.
Yeah. But anyways, before we continue, I just wanted to say hello to Dennis De Los Santos. Dennis is a drummer as well. The high targets in the Philippines, and Monty Mendigoria is also in the Philippines. He said hi, John.
Uh,
So yeah, so we've got like friends from back home, from back in the Philippines, because
well,
we just love the Bodines. So I'm gonna ask about the Bodines later. But yeah, so from Glossop, 17 is sort of like a age where you actually sort of like go to clubs and do maybe go to gigs and stuff. So we're actually back in Manchester by that time.
well, which I'd started going to clubs and gigs when I was about 16. We used to go into town. We used to go to the Hacienda when that first opened, like 1982. So like
Wow.
16 or 17, and then I can remember, going to see, like, getting on the back of my mate's bike and going to see an Orange Juice at Rotters in like 1980. Yeah, about the same time, 82, 81. So we did
Yeah. Yeah.
the odd gigs, but it was a big deal. It was a long way to go. It's difficult to get back to Gloucester. The night bus ended at Hattersley, which is about a 4 or 5 mile walk from Gloucester. So
Oh God.
it was a big deal.
Yeah. Um. But did you come from a sort of like a musical family?
Not particularly. How I started playing the drums. My mum's on a fourth husband. Her third husband was a jazz musician, and he played drums. He was a trumpet and sax player, but he had a drum kit. He used to play drums, but he didn't
Yeah.
use it anymore. So a friend at school wanted to start a band. He was a guitarist. I said, "Oh, there's a drum kit at our house." So that's how I started.
But did you try other musical instrument, or have you always been drawn to the drums?
Uh, when I was at school, because of this guy my mum was married to, he had a couple of trumpets and a French horn hanging around. I think I started learning French horn, and before that I'd played violin at primary school as well. So
Oh,
not to any level, just like kind of messing about.
yeah, yeah. So well, I mean, apart from sort of like having the drum kit at home from your mum's husband, so did you actually go for proper drum lessons, or did you just sort of like teach
No,
yourself, or did he teach you how to play drums?
have you heard me play the drums? No, lessons. No. No, no, never had any.
So, God. And what about singing? Did you try?
Oh God,
So,
no. In fact, I can't sing to save my life. I was in a couple of plays at school, a couple of musicals, and I asked for a non-singing part. I think it was Oliver, and then at the end, the whole cast has to get together and sing the big number at the end. And I was told by the music teacher just to mime my part because I was singing so badly. I was putting everybody else out. So no, singing's
no.
not my thing.
Right. So now you sort of like taught yourself how to play the drum. So what was your first band?
Oh God, I was in like a couple of bands at school, just kind of messing about. Never did any gigs. Um, I think we might have done one gig above a pub in Glossop, but yeah, the Bodines was like my first proper band, really.
Yeah, yeah. Um, are there many sort of like I've been to gigs actually in Glossop,
Right.
uh, but at the time were there sort of like quite a lot of live music venues there, or just pubs and
Yeah, well, yeah, there were a few pubs that we used to go to, and upstairs at the Surrey in Glossop. And we were all underage, but the landlady knew and used to let us come in because she knew that we, wanted to see bands and we were no trouble. So,
oh,
uh, but yeah, well, but I've never played in Glossop. We never, for some reason, I don't know why. The band never played in Glossop.
well, the Bodines are actually like Glossop's finest, right? You hear so many, you hear so many people so like calling the Bodines every time you post about it. They say Glossop's finest. So, and you never played in
Never
Glossop.
played in Glossop, no. I think Mick has done some solo stuff recently. I think he played at I think it's called the Stardust Ballroom. It's the old Conservative club in Glossop. I think
All right, this is Michael Ryan, right?
yeah,
This
yeah. I think he did some. I think he might have done a couple of Bodine songs and some of his more recent stuff.
oh god, I didn't realize that he's still so like going and he's still
Yeah,
playing.
he's still working on stuff. The last time I saw him, he said he was going to send me some of the latest stuff he'd done. But we've not quite got it together yet.
Oh, so how did you meet the band? Because I looked up the history, well, or the Wikipedia page of the Bodines, and I found out you're actually not their original drummer.
No, well, they were all a school year younger than me. Paul, the guitarist, was in the school year below me, and Mick and Tim were at the Catholic school in Glossop. So I knew them all. Paul not so well. I've been in bands with Mick before. I think just kind of messing about bands that lasted a month or something. And
Yeah,
Mick's older brother Dave, who's my age. So I knew them all from Glossop. And then I was living in Manchester, and I'd heard that they'd got this band and they had this demo tape. And I knew somebody who worked at the Hacienda, so they came round and dropped this demo tape. I gave this tape to the girl from the Hacienda, and she got them there. I think possibly the first gig at the Hacienda with the other drummer.
yeah.
Uh, and then I was out one night in Glossop, had come over from Manchester, and saw Paul in a pub, and he said, "I think Mick sacked our original drummer, and he wants you to play." So that was that.
And you played at the Hacienda with them.
Not that first gig, but I did play at the Hacienda with them later on. Yeah,
Yeah. Do you know where they got the name from? The Bodines.
yeah, it's from the Beverly Hillbillies. Jethro Bodine, one of the Beverly Hillbillies. It's an American.
Oh, I see.
From.
Because oh right, because I actually I looked it up on Google, and apparently it means shelter. A bodine is a shelter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it says that it's the one who brings news. So there are baby names like
No.
Bodine. People don't like people call Bodine, but yeah. But if you check the Urban Dictionary, it says that anything that is wrong is called a Bodine.
Right.
So it's from the Beverly Hillbillies. It's a TV show in America, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like late 60s, I think, or early 60s, mid 60s.
Right. Oh God, that's I didn't know that as well. But this,
It was on
yeah,
all the time when we were kids, so it was a popular show. Everybody knew it.
yeah. I think, yeah. I'm sure they had that in the Philippines as well. I remember because I remember the girl where it's like the cowboy.
Yeah,
Is that
Ellie
what
Mae,
it is? The cowboys.
critters. I liked her. Yeah,
Yeah.
got a raccoon.
Well, Aiden said that the Beverly Hillbillies was his favorite comedy show as a child. So,
Funny, great.
right. So, but there's another sort of like band that I've got to sort of like tell you this because every time I post about sort of like the Bodines and stuff, I always get sort of like this joke from other friends because there's an American band in the 80s called Bodines, which
That's
is spelled
right.
BO and then capital DEANS.
Yeah,
And when I was sort of like start to collect records, this was like 10 years ago and stuff, but because we never really saw like heard a lot, well, we know the music, we know the Bodines music, but not really much about who you are and about the bands and everything and stuff. And there was one time I went to a record shop and I saw this Bodines. There's like a couple of records there, the albums there. And I thought, oh, maybe it's them. so, so I got those two Bodines albums, and I thought this doesn't sound this doesn't sound like the Bodines.
yeah. I think I think the name. I think the guy the leader of the band is called something Bodine. I think that's his surname. So that's why they called that. But we had some kind of because they were going at the same time as us, and I think
Yeah,
our lawyers got in touch with their lawyers, and there was some agreement that we wouldn't kind of stop, interfere from the other band from playing in America, from us playing in America, or them playing here and having any trouble with the name. So I don't know, some
yeah, because
loyalty thing.
yeah, even though it's spelled differently, I mean, you just pronounce it the same way, the Bodines and then Bodines as well.
Yeah, so confusion
Yeah.
around, as you know.
um, because when you told me that Michael Ryan is still doing, like his thing, he's doing his solo stuff and everything. Um, so what about the other band members? Do you still see them?
No, I don't. They're all back in Glossop. I don't think everybody moved away from Glossop. Mick lived in Manchester for quite a while. Paul, I think he lived in Australia for quite a few years. But yeah, everybody's gone back to Glossop. But I just don't see Mick and Paul. Tim and Paul. So Mick very
Yeah.
occasionally. I don't go back to Glossop that much these days. Not as much as I used to.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's a nice place anyway. So I think now that you've mentioned that Michael Ryan is still doing it, so I'm gonna look him up and then see what where he playing, where he's playing next, and maybe go and see him because I I had actually a very so like very embarrassing and quite funny as well, but an experience because I was at a gig, uh, like it was I can't remember now what it is, but anyways, I was at a gig and there was this guy who sort of like said to me that he's Michael Roy. I mean, I had my doubts at the time because when I was asking him about, what was it like supporting, because you supported the Smiths, right?
No,
Well, did you not support the Smiths?
no, we didn't.
Oh, because I was sort of like, well, I was asking him about, because I thought there was sort of like time when you and the Smiths were sort of like playing together or something like that, or no?
No, we played at
Is
we
it
did
G-Max? Like the G-Max or something?
yeah we did that festival of the 10th summer, which was a whole series of gigs over the course of a week. So the last gig was like the Smiths and ACR and various other people at GMX, and we played earlier in the week at the PSV in Hume with James. So we didn't actually play. We played on the same kind of festival, but not on the same day as the Smiths.
Oh, right. So, and you didn't play at G-Max,
No, I
or
went to
what
the
used to
gig.
be G-Max?
Yeah, I was at the gig, but I didn't play there. Yeah,
Oh, so you saw the Smiths playing now, so
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. But anyway, so like I was asking him about it, and he was sort of like saying things like, "Oh, I don't remember now. It's about a long time ago." So I already had my doubts about him, but then he was still insisting that he is Michael Ryan. So I was like, okay. And then I just saw like from then on, I was sort of like saying, unless I see you on stage, unless I see someone on stage, I'm not gonna believe anyone now who sort of like tells me that they're a musician or something.
I don't, it's strange. I think it's because possibly it's like before the internet and mobile phones, and there aren't. I think I think you mentioned before there aren't that many photographs of us around. There was
Yeah.
a guy who used to go around getting in clubs in Manchester at the time we were going, pretending to be me.
Oh,
And I heard about somebody else a friend of mine, he works for a company with a friend of mine, and who insisted he'd been in the Bodines as well, and he hadn't. I don't know, it's a bit strange.
and yeah, because like, I mean, how do I know how you look like nowadays? Because it's like,
Well, I was going to say I've got ID. I can prove who I am if you wallet somewhere. You take a passport. I
yeah.
am. I am Joe Rowland.
No, thank you. But yeah. So the album, let's talk about the album played. I think that's, I mean, like music fans, when you post it on Facebook, there's so many music fans who will say, "Oh, they love that album so much," and they played it to death and things like that. Um, I've also like realized it's actually produced by Ian Brody.
Yeah, yeah.
What was yeah? Can you tell us sort of like the connection with Ian Brody?
Well, I um, I used to before I was in the Bodines, I used to be a roadie. I used to work for this company in Manchester. So we used to do all the gigs at the Apollo and the NEC, like just work for all the band, every big band in the 80s, all of those. But the very first gig I got, it was a roadieing gig. I had to go to this house around the corner. I was living in Withington at the time to get picked up in the morning at like 7 o'clock. I got the time wrong and arrived an hour early and knocked on the door. And it was a shared house, and this guy opened the door, and it was Nathan McGough, who became our manager.
Yeah,
So that was the first time I'd ever met him. So I got to know Nathan, and he was managing another band at the time, a factory band, Kalima. We didn't have a manager, and he just suggested one night he'd do it for us. So, and he was a big friend. He knew Ian Brody from back in Liverpool. He was a mate of his. So he got Brody in. We got a like a real cheap deal at Amazon Studios in Liverpool. So we were all like, really excited because we're all big fans of Echo and the Bunnymen and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
all the Liverpool stuff. So we were really made up to be working with Ian.
Yeah, because Ian Brody is such a brilliant producer. I mean, of course, with Lightning Seeds as well. He was so. Yeah, I love that band. Yeah, and he did some of the Echo and the Bunnymen. So like
Yeah,
Rescue, I think he did Rescue. So
yeah,
yeah.
that's correct. Yeah.
So did you have so like were you? in awe, or were you also like starstruck, or you when you saw Ian Brody?
Well, I mean, I was. I don't know about the rest of them. Possibly they were. Yeah, yeah. It was just, yeah, it was just. But he's such a nice bloke, and you, the kind of starstruck bit didn't last very long because he's just, he's just a really great bloke to work with. Dead easy.
Yeah, yeah. And then also you getting your own sort of like fans, and then people sort of like getting starstruck by the Bodines. Yeah. But Neil said that he first heard the Bodines when he was 13, and Janice Long played God Bless on Radio 1, and he loved it straight away. And he also bought all the Bodines records from then on. Yeah, I think I've still got I'm still missing some, but yeah, I don't think I've got that. God bless. But I just want to say shout out to Emilio Rojas, who's a massive fan. I think he lives in Sweden or Switzerland, something. But he's a massive fan of Bodines, and I've also got like a question from Tita Ortega, who's in Glasgow, and she's one of the organizers of Glasgow's Pop. And I mean, I'm sure it's not just her who wanted to know this, but loads of the Bodines fans. Is there like a possibility, or will the Bodines get back together and maybe do shows? I mean, especially Michael Ryan is still playing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there are no plans. I mean, never say never, but I can't really. I don't know. I don't know. We 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 were thinking about it about, I think, about 10 years ago, and we got as far. We actually had a rehearsal without Paul. Paul was in Australia at the time, but nothing came of it really. So I don't know. Maybe,
Maybe. Well,
maybe.
yeah. So like never say never, because
Yeah.
yeah, there's so many. Yeah, no, so many people, so many bands are getting back together. I think it's. I think it may be one of the uh, effects of COVID, that maybe we realized, when we had this sort of like lockdown and we couldn't do anything for over
Mm.
a year, and they maybe musicians, especially, they realized that maybe we should get back together and play again or something like that.
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I'll be seeing Mick, and I'm going over to a party in Glossop next month. I'll be seeing Mick there, so I don't know. Maybe speak to him about it there.
Yes, please. And also, Glasgow's Pop Festival in Glasgow every summer. I mean,
Right?
it's, of course, well, of course, not this year because they've already got the lineup, finalized for this year. But hopefully, especially Tita,
There's a firm gig offer for next year. So right, okay.
yeah, if
Fine.
well, Tita is, you know, definitely she's one of the organizers. So if the Bodines would like to play at Glasgow Spot,
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
sure she'd be really happy about that.
Glasgow. Yeah. If you could get us a couple of gigs in the Philippines as well, that'd be fantastic.
Ah, that would be really good. Yes.
Go there.
And Neil also said that he'd love to see the Bodines back together. So there's so many fans, would love to sort of
Oh,
like.
it's nice. It feels really odd to be being interviewed about this. I mean, it's so long ago. It's what, it's getting on for 40 years ago. So,
Yeah, but you don't really unlook. I mean, it's like riding a bike, isn't it? That once you've learned how to ride a bike, I'm sure when the band get back together, it will
you'd
all.
hope so, wouldn't you? You'd hope that'd be the case. We'll see. I don't know. In some ways it'd be nice. Some ways it's just better to leave it as it is. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed.
Right.
hopefully,
Very good.
hopefully something will come out of it, and I'm sure it will make loads of fans happy to see the Bodines again. So, but but that's not the end of it though, because after the Bodines, you're actually in the band called the Rankings,
Yeah.
and that's with Stephen Holt of Inspiral Carpets. So, can you tell us, so how did that happen?
Well, after I left the Bodines, I didn't play for about a year or so. I just got a phone call one day from Stephen from the Inspiral Carpets. Him and Dave Swift from the who had both left the Carpets, had started a new band. I'd met them before because the Carpets had played. We played with the Carpets a couple of times, so but I didn't really know them. But yeah, so I just joined the band.
And that lasted for quite some time. It lasted longer than you in the Bodines, right?
Yeah, and then yeah, I think from about what about 89 to about 97, so about 8 years, and then we split up, and then we did a few more years together, about another 4 or 5 recently. Yeah,
Yeah. Have you been to any of the Inspiral Carpets gigs? The
yeah.
tour?
Was it a week yesterday? The Manchester
Oh,
one?
the
At the
Manchester. Oh God, yeah. I
Yeah,
missed that one because I was in Liverpool for the Food Aid festival.
yeah,
So
no. Yeah, I thought I might see you there, and then I saw that you were in Liverpool. But yeah, Steve would put us on the guest list, and it was a really nice night. It was quite emotional, like the band having the kids up and Gilly's son there, and
yeah,
it was a really, yeah, it was a good gig, good gig.
yeah. Well, I'm hoping to so like I don't know where else they're gonna be playing, but I'm hoping so like see them during this tour. Hopefully, well, we'll see. But so um, the rankings. It's actually you have members like Kathy Brooks from Dub Sax
Yeah, yeah,
and Manny Lee from the Waltons as
yeah,
well.
me as well. Yeah, yeah. We
Wow.
we, we always had trouble with bass players. I think we had about 4 or 5 different bass players. So it was always me, Steve, and Dave, and then various bass players, and then towards the end we had Paul Williams, keyboard player for us as well. But yeah, yeah, yeah. So Kathy and Paul were at the Inspirals gig on Saturday, so that was nice to see them.
All right. So, well, are there sort of like plans of getting the rankings together and doing some more gigs? Because you did. It was only like a few years ago, wasn't it? Was it 2018?
Yeah, yeah. We did it. We got, what was it? I think
Was it like a
oh, no,
charity? Was it?
there was a film came out. I'm a big film fan. I'd always wanted sort of a song in a film, and there was a film about the Stone Roses came out, Spike Island. Like
Oh,
I don't know if you saw it. And Rankings, we had one of our songs on the soundtrack, and so there was a kind of a bit of interest in the band, and Steve got the band back together, and we did a couple of singles. So yeah, but nothing kind of came of it really. Just there's not much interest, unfortunately. So
I
and,
remember.
and during that time, the Carpets kicked out Tom Hingley, and Steve rejoined them. So he was finding it hard to do both at the same time. So then we knocked it on the head again. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think there's probably more chance of the Rankings doing more stuff together. Yeah, that could be possible.
Oh, what you mean than the Bodines?
Say so, yeah. Lightly.
Well, I don't know how I missed that one because I've already been sort of like going to lots of gigs at the time, but I think it's because of the location because it's not in, it's some is it somewhere in Oldham where you had the gig, the Rankings?
The last Rankings gig, it was out. Yeah, it was out like Greenfield or somewhere up there.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the place. It's a really nice little place, nice little theatre. We played with James Taylor Quartet. They were really good.
All right. Well, did you continue just playing drums in other bands as well, or was it just those two bands that you played in?
Well, me and Manny from the Waltones, we were on. He was in the Rankings at the time, and we were all on holiday. There was a few of us on holiday in Spain, and he decided he wanted to leave the Rankings and start a kind of alt country band. So we did that for a few years. We had a band called Jackson Sundown, pedal steel player and all that, with James Knox, who was in the
and the Walt, yeah.
So yeah, we did that for a few years.
And did you do like recording and release an album?
We did quite a bit of recording, but just kind of like home demos and kind of roughly. We never released anything, just a handful of gigs, but it was good. I quite enjoyed that.
Do you still see them? Because they all live in Chorlton, Stratford area, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, Alex from the Waltones lives literally around the corner here. Manny just lives up the road.
Wow.
Mark from the Waltones, who's in the Charlatans now, he's just living just outside Lisbon now, so I don't see him that much anymore. James Knox lives opposite. So,
well, when after work, after King Beer, was one time I went to Morrison's and then I saw Manny there. But I was so like thinking, because it looks like he was in a hurry anyways. I didn't want to sort of like disturb him. Say, "Oh my God, Manny from the Walton." So I was like, but yeah, in Chorlton you do get to see quite a lot of like musicians.
Yeah. Yeah, I see some old music heads knocking about.
Yeah. Well, they used to do I think it's like once a month gigs in Stratford. Manny and James Knox.
Oh, the acoustic thing, yeah, above the
the SIP Club. I think it's called the SIP Club.
Yeah, I think it's called now.
Yeah,
I think it's called something else now. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they stopped playing. I went there like a couple times, and I thought it was really good.
Well, well, James is still practicing his ukulele. Well, in fact, out the window now, I can see him in his front room playing it.
Yeah. Oh, so that's really well. They played at Shine On. That was the last time I saw them. Shine On 2021.
Yeah, the Rankings. We played that about 4 or 5 years ago as well.
Oh, were you at Shine On?
Yeah, we did Minehead.
Yeah.
5 years ago. I think Echo and Bunnymen were the headliners. Yeah.
Oh God, I missed that one. That was the year before I started going to the Shine On Festival. Was that the same year as the Railway Children were on as well? Just 2016.
Not sure about that. Don't know. I've not seen those guys in a long time.
Well, maybe so. Like, because the very first one I believe is like 2015. Maybe that's the one when Echo and the Bunnymen were headliners, and then 2016 was on the Railway Children were on. But I didn't start going until 2017.
Right.
So I missed the Rankings. I'm like, but hopefully, well, I will keep an eye out for in case you start, you decide to sort of like get together again and play, and of course the Bodines. But so when you're not drumming, you're a teacher. So,
I'm a support worker. I work in a school with special needs kids in secondary school in Moss Side.
Yeah.
Getting on for 30 years. So I'm doing it all the time. Yeah, not much drumming, more education.
Yeah, but I do believe that drumming is actually, or playing the drums is actually good for when you're in like teaching kids, or into, because I'm sure that I've spoken to quite a lot of drummers who are also doing more or less the same things, but
Therapeutic,
they incorporate the playing the drums
right?
to this.
I mean,
So do you?
we've got a really brilliant music teacher at our place at the moment, Ollie. And I just really enjoy. He tries to get me involved as much as he can with the kids down there in the music department, and that's the most drumming I do these days. Is just playing with the kids at school, which I really enjoy. You know,
Did, did they know who you are?
no,
Did they know
either.
some of the Bodines and the Rankings?
A couple of them know. A couple of them kind of like get. Uh, Want to know about stuff you do outside school and things. A couple of them might ask you if you've been in a band and stuff. So occasionally you'll get a kid who kind of comes into school the next day and says, "Oh, I was looking at you on YouTube last night." But yeah, 99% of them don't know and aren't interested.
But again, there aren't that many videos, because I don't know why. Did you ever do like music videos? Because that was the time of MTV, right? That's the MTV generation.
Yeah, we went to California and did a couple of videos in LA. We did one out in the desert and one on the beach in like Malibu and Venice Beach and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we did do a couple of videos.
Well, you've also got your own. I'm sure that's your YouTube channel.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
well,
your YouTube channel.
yeah. I've not used it for years. Yeah, that's been there for.
Well, there's like, I think, three um videos there that you've uploaded. It's like from a live gig.
Yeah, I think years ago I got sent from various different people DVDs of gigs that people had shot in from the audience, fan made things. So I put a couple of songs from each of those on. I think
Yeah.
time ago.
Well, sometimes you think that I wish you already had this, like smartphones, this mobile phones that you could actually, record.
Hasn't it? I mean, we were doing it all in the age before that. From even getting to a gig, we used to get in the back of a transit van with an A to Z, turn up in some town. We'd be constantly stopping the van and asking people on the street if they knew. You know what I mean? You didn't know where you were. The promoter didn't know where you were. You're always late for the gig. You couldn't ring them because you didn't have mobile phones. It was just completely different.
Yeah. Well, if you're going to get back together, it'll be a lot easier because of all that. Well, I've got a question from Neil. He said, John, what was it like appearing on the kids' TV show Hold Tight? I think you did slip slide on there.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that day. My memory is not brilliant. A lot of stuff I can't remember, but I do remember that. We're kind of stuck in a porter cabin for hours waiting to go on, and I think Pepsi and Shirley were on the same show, and Climby Fisher. Who else was on it? I was made up because one of the guys out of the scaffold was one of the presenters on the show. But yeah, then we all got like free queue jumping passes for the rides, and we went on the roller coasters and stuff. So yeah, it was a good day out.
Oh, of course. What year was it? Was it?
Oh, 87, I suppose.
So it's like a festival, or I don't think I've heard of a Hold Tight.
It's just a music program, just a kind of music and comedy program. Like we have musical acts. Do you know Alton Towers?
Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
shot there. So the film. the various acts at various parts around the park, and then interspersed with like little comedy links and things. So yeah, it was just like a kids' musical
All
TV show.
right. Are there clips on it on YouTube or?
I think there is, yeah, yeah. I've seen it somewhere. It must be there, yeah.
So like I need to sort of like search for that one. I don't think I've seen that one. I don't really know about Hold Tight because yeah. Well,
Oh,
Neil said
you probably were in the Philippines at the time. I'm
I
sure it
know.
wasn't
Well,
shown.
so it wasn't as big as Top of the Pops or
Oh
you
God,
know
no.
no. Or
No,
there's a
like a
or
TV.
Razzmatazz is another sort of like program that I think was
Right, you remember right?
well, it's like popular as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it was, yeah.
Well, Neil said that he missed it at the time, and he's never seen it on YouTube. So maybe it's not there.
Oh, I don't know. I've seen it. I've definitely seen
Yeah.
it.
Well, maybe if you have the video, maybe you could upload it on your YouTube channel so that everybody else can.
I don't have the video, no. But yeah, I've definitely seen it.
Well, that's something that we need to sort of like search for, and because that sounds interesting. But when you said you're stuck in a cabin, so what was what was that like? Why did you get stuck in?
Well, they just using porta cabins as dressing rooms for the band, so
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah.
they sat in there with a couple of plastic chairs for 5 hours while you were waiting to go on and film your bit.
Right. So it was a fun experience for you.
Yeah, it's a lot of waiting around. I mean, that's what you do in a band, isn't it? A lot of waiting around.
Yeah, it's like that with sort of like recording an album as well, isn't it? You just sort
Especially the drummer, because you do your bit. You always do your bit first, and then that's it. You kind of, you're not needed until right at the very end. You want to put a bit of extra percussion on or something, but yeah.
were you allowed? Were you allowed? Were you not allowed to sort of like leave just in case they needed you or something? Or you can.
You can't go wandering off. No.
Well, I always sort of like ask this question: do you twirl when you play the drums,
No, I
or
can't do that.
do tricks?
Try to concentrate on drumming. I'm not doing tricks as well. I remember going to the first time I saw the Stone Roses at the International. Must have been about 1987 and 1988. And Rennie came on and he was twirling his sticks. I was very impressed by that.
Yeah, I think that's amazing when drummers actually do that, and then especially when
I'm really clumsy. I couldn't do that. Arthritis now as well, which doesn't help. So.
So if the Bodines are going to play next year, we won't see you sort of like doing
stick twirling and everything will be played at half the speed as well.
Do you have any sort of like drumming heroes?
Growing up, I liked the people I got into, like kind of Clem Burke and from Blondie.
Yeah.
And John Marr from the Buzzcocks.
Buzzcocks, yeah.
And, Stuart Copeland from the Police, people like that.
Wow. Well, have you ever sort of like seen them, or have you ever met them, or
when I was roadieing, I roadied for the Police, so I saw Stuart Copeland. No, I never got to see Buzzcocks or Clem Burke. No.
Clem Burke. Did you know about when they did this last? I think it was last month when they did the Lust for Life tour. Did you hear about that?
I think I saw a bit of that on something the other day. Who was in the band? It was Clem on drums.
Clem Burke was on drums, and then God, it's Katie Patrick? Katie Patrick did the vocals? Because I only remember her as sort of like a presenter, and I thought she was a comedian. I didn't realize that she was actually great.
Katie Puckrick
Yeah,
from. She's the singer from.
she's the singer. She did all the Lust for Life, so
Really?
like the whole album.
Wow.
And Puckrick, sorry, yeah, thanks, Neil. It's Katie Puckrick. Yes, that's the name. And God, the God, this is really bad because the guy from Sex Pistols, I should really know this. Uh,
Oh yeah, Steve Jones. Or was it
no,
Glenn Matlock?
Glenn Matlock. God, I
Glenn Matlock.
think I'm so sorry, Glenn Matlock. But yeah, Glenn Matlock played there as well. And there's, I think, the guy who played with David Bowie. Um, so, but the main one is like Glenn Matlock,
Not
Clember.
Earl Slick. Was it Earl Slick?
No, I think his name is Slick as well, but it's not Earl Slick, but somebody else.
Right.
But yeah, the three main sort of like performers, Katie Puckett, Clem Burke, and
Oh,
Glenn Matlock, they were absolutely amazing because I saw them in Liverpool.
right.
Yeah, and Clem Burke, he's a legend, isn't he?
Oh, brilliant. Yeah. Great, great drummer.
Yeah, I mean, I've met him once at Night
Yeah,
and Day. Yeah, I saw him at Night and Day and had a photograph with him. He's a really nice person.
right.
But
He does a lot of stick twirling.
oh yeah,
He's a
yes.
proper show drummer.
At the time in Liverpool, because I was getting the train back, I couldn't hang around, which is a shame. But they played until like after 11 o'clock. I didn't even finish the gig. I didn't
Right.
even finish the set because it was a long set, and also there were two other um, artists and bands played before them.
Yeah.
They didn't come on until like nearly 10 o'clock. So the last train back to Manchester is about 11:30.
Right.
So I missed it, but hopefully I'll get to see Clem Burke again. And I'm hoping that I could get him on Acid Drummer. Fingers crossed.
Oh, that'd be brilliant. You've had some fantastic drummers on this series. I was looking, yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so what about Rennie?
Rennie, I've never met him, but yeah, he's a great, great drummer. You know, really good
Yeah,
drummer.
I don't think anyone knows where he is. So, like, there's no news about Rennie.
I used to see him knocking around. You know, the lead station on Beach Road. You know,
Yeah,
in Bolton. I've seen him in there. I think he's. I think he's. Well, he was fairly local. I think he was around Chiltern. I,
really?
used- I think so. Yeah, that was a few years ago. I used to see Manny quite a lot in Heaton Moor because I played football in
Yeah,
Heaton Moor. I
yeah.
used to see him knocking around there, but I've not seen him for a while.
Oh, good.
It's kind of Manny that I know best from the band.
Well, I've asked you this before, but do you still get starstruck when you see like bands, or or
Um,
is there someone that that if you see them you'll get like, oh my god?
Yeah, you know, I'm still a fan. You know, I still get. I mean, the worst one I can remember was we were in Hollywood. We'd been filming these videos out in the desert, and we'd gone to meet the head of Factory America in this bar in California. And George Michael was in this bar. We didn't realize it was kind of like a star, you know, like a celebrity type bar or whatever. But anyway, so I got introduced to George Michael at the bar, and I just lost it. I just kind of broken biscuits, bubbles coming out of my mouth. You know, I didn't know what to say. I wasn't even much of a fan, you know, George Michael, but you know, I was after I met him. He was such a lovely guy.
Oh wow. Well, I think it's good. It's really nice for musicians, to be real as well. Because I remember on Facebook there was this sort like discussion about whether musicians should keep so like their mystique was like not be too close or getting so like open about everything. What's your take on that?
But yeah, I mean, there's that old saying, never meet your heroes. You get disappointed by them. I mean, I can remember going seeing authors that I've liked at book signings and things, and I've just thought they're not quite the person you expect them to be, and coming away a bit disappointed. But yeah, we did go with New Order in Canada, and I mean, New Order for me when I was growing up, when we started playing with them, they were, I thought they were the best band in the world. They were fantastic.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
New Order, Joy Division, they've got this mystique about them. They're really kind of miserable and dark and everything. And then you meet them, and they're just like completely ordinary, you know, people who like a laugh and clown about, and you know,
yeah,
so
yeah.
that was nice.
Well, what was it like when you were in the Bodines? I mean, were you friendly towards the fans, or what was it? Were there sort of like fans waiting, hanging around outside, waiting for the band to come out and things like that?
Bands, not really. No, no, it wasn't really like that. I don't think. I mean, when you went down and played in London, you'd have people hanging around, kind of gangs of young Japanese girls who always seem to be at all the creation gigs and stuff. Um, yeah, it was, we didn't have gangs of people chasing us down the street or waving autograph books at us or anything. It was, it wasn't really like that. But
But were you asked at the time? Were you asked for photos and signatures and things? Because you don't seem to sort of like get even now. I think you don't. When people, especially on social media, they post sort of like photos of themselves when, say, in the 80s or something, with bands, from the time, from that time. But I don't think I've ever seen any fan photo with any member of the Bodines.
well, like I said before, there were nobody had phones then. Nobody had mobile phones, and people rarely carried cameras around with them. Um, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
Like you weren't.
No, it's not like we were no photos, please. No, we're not signing that. We just we weren't possibly quite as popular as you imagine.
Well, I'm sure if you're going to do this or like Glasgow Spot next year, I'll be the first person there. So like with my record and asking the band to sort of like have a photograph with all of you guys. Well, Carrie, well, I know it's nearly so like 3 o'clock now, but there's another question that I always ask the drummers. Have you ever had any sort of like accidents or what I would call like drumming disasters when you play drums, or have you ever fallen off sort of like a drum set?
God, not really. I had one when I was playing with Jackson Sundown. We were we were playing at a gig in Chorlton actually, and my bass drum skin split like on the first song. So that was it then. Couldn't really play. They carried on the rest of the gig just playing kind of acoustic.
Oh, really? And
Because I only had like a two drum kit. I had a bass drum and a snare. The bass drum went, so that was that really.
I suppose too, it's more sort of like hard work replacing drum skin than just sort of like replacing a string. Because I think
Well,
with the string, it's more easy, isn't it?
yeah, I didn't have a spare one with me. It's not. I didn't have a great deal of equipment.
Well, what did you do there? Just sort of like
I just
look.
kind of wandered off, embarrassed. Went and sat in the room.
Oh, God. Well, do you know, there's There's also I have to sort of like mention this because last year at Louder Than Words Festival, um, have you seen that whatever happened to the CH6 Kids book?
Um, no, I think I've seen an extract from it where I think he interviews Paul from the band for that. I think somebody sent me like an extract from it where the guy says that he tried to find me and kind of look through the phone book or something. So there were so many John Rowlands. He didn't even start trying.
It's
So he ended up with Paul, I think.
But it's actually so like quite easy because you're on Facebook. I mean, I was able to find you. So,
Yeah, fantastic research by the author. Yeah.
yeah. And now that you've said that Michael Ryan is actually doing, you know, his stuff, his solo things, then maybe it's so like easy to find Michael Ryan as well. But anyways, I wasn't able to sort like listen properly to the discussion because I was actually there as a volunteer. So, although when I saw a photograph of the Bodines being, on these sort of like whiteboard and stuff, I thought, oh my God, what are they talking about the Bodines? But I think I remember him sort of like saying that he tried to sort of like get the other band members, but that's why I thought that Michael Ryan is nowhere to be found anymore. That maybe he's just sort of like disappeared.
He's
But
a, he's a little bit reclusive, you know. Keeps himself to himself, mate.
yeah, but if he's still playing, that's actually a good sign because it
Yeah,
means, you know.
yeah. I don't know how regular he's playing. That might have been a bit of a one-off. I don't know. Like I say, I'll see him in 2 or 3 weeks, so I shall speak to him.
Please, yeah, please sort of like talk to him about getting the band back together, even if it's just for that one festival.
Right.
I think people will be really happy, and I'm sure. I mean, if they announce that the Bodines are going to be headlining Glasgow's Pop, even before they announce any other bands, it will just be sold out, even before they start selling the tickets. So,
I admire your optimism.
well, Neil said that you've got to mention Threes because what a great song. And it should have been a hit, especially after being reissued in 1987.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Well, yeah. I don't think we should have re-released it. Really, I think at the time uh, we didn't have anything new recorded. They wanted to put that single straight away when we signed with Magnet, so they re-released that, which I think was a bit of a bad move on our part. Really, we should have done something new.
Oh, well,
But
that's a great song.
it's a good record, though. I think.
Yeah. I've actually got the two versions of it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is my last question now. Do you have any advice to aspiring drummers out there?
Get lessons. Definitely get lessons. Learn the rudiments and practice. Get a practice pad and do all that. All the things
Yeah.
I never did. Yeah.
Like those paradiddles and
Yeah. Get your paradiddles going.
well, well, even with sort like not having proper drum lessons. I mean, you're very. I've seen the live. I've seen the live. So like I watched it from your YouTube channel. You're absolutely amazing. You're
Oh,
so good. So
you too.
I'm really looking forward. I hope I'll get to see you out and about in Chilton, or maybe go to Kingsley on a Saturday. So that would be
Yeah.
good. Or maybe a gig, because now that I know that you actually still go to gigs yourself.
Very occasionally, I go to gigs. I've got a really good attention span. I can't concentrate for that.
Oh, well, King B will be the best place then to sort of like meet you.
Right.
But you've got to sort of like give me sort of like prior notice so I can bring all my the Bodines records.
Well, yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, cool. Yeah,
And maybe get you to sign them. And
problem.
and Neil said that he'll look out for you in King Bay as well.
Right. Okay.
Well,
Meet you soon,
thank
Neil.
you. Well, before I let you go, is there anything that you want to say, especially to your fans in the Philippines and fans like you everywhere as well? And
Just
Tita,
thank you for your support, everyone. I feel really, really flattered to have these people, in the Philippines and all over the place that are still interested in the band. It's great. Thank you.
yeah, and especially Tita Ortega, who's the organizer of Glasgow Spa. Fingers crossed.
Oh, my cousin lives in Glasgow, so I need to go and stay up with him. So yeah, we'll be up there hopefully.
That's brilliant. That is so good. Well, thank you so much, John.
Thank
I'm really, I'm really, really happy that I found you on Facebook and that you said yes to Ask the Drummer.
Oh no,
And
thanks for having me. It's been lovely. Thank you.
yeah, and hope to see you soon.
Catch you soon at King B.
It can be, but please let me know. So I've got my records ready for you. So
Right. So.
thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
And you.
Well, it's bank holiday tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm off all
Yeah.
week anyway. I've got another week off work.
All right. Well, that's good. Well, enjoy your break from school.
Thank you very
And
much.
yeah, thank you. See you again. See you.
Okay,
Well,
thanks,
not
Anne.
again. See you soon.
See you
Bye.
soon.
Bye.
Bye.
See you. Oh my God, thank you so much. Thank you, John. That's amazing. And I'm actually really excited now because I always get like this excited about things, even if it's we'll see, fingers crossed. But hopefully, yeah, I'm really, really hoping that they will get back together again and play even just one gig. But if it's a tour, then that will be even more amazing. But yeah, so hopefully. Thank you all so much for joining us and enjoy the rest of the weekend, the Easter, and tomorrow, bank holiday. And tomorrow, oh, well, next week, I'm actually going to be away next week, but I've got a special so like episode for you next week. It's not going to be live broadcast. It's on it. I will post it on you. I will upload it on YouTube and then post it on Sunday morning. So please do keep an eye out for it. It's gonna be amazing. So yeah, that's all for now. As always, love music, love life, love drummers. I mean, drummers are just so amazing. I mean, John Rowland, thank you so much, and hope to see you. Well, not the live broadcast, but the live broadcast will be back in 2 weeks' time. So hope to see you again in 2 weeks. Take care always. Big love from me. Bye for now. Bye. Bye.